Hi, this is Mark at Skywagon University. We're going to be flying this 182 Turbo RG. It's an 81 182 Turbo RG, and this is part two of two parts. The first part is the walking and talking and looking at it. It's mainly a model year changes video, but it's such a nice plane. We're going to do a part two, which is the flying of it. So if you want to see the details of all the idiosyncrasies and the ups and downs and ins and outs and details of a 182 RG and the model year changes from 78 to 86, watch part one. There's a link here. And then this one now is going to be about 15 minutes of actually flying it. So the radio's already on because the avionics, without the avionics on, I can't speak on the microphone. So this is how you start one of these. You don't have to over prime it and flood it and put the mixture out and everything. It's carbureted. So all of these big 540s like this with a carburetor, it's like starting a 2020 Subaru. You just go in, out, master mags, start, and in theory it'll just boom right to idle. Let's check it. Clear. No throttle jockeying, no boost pumps, no priming. Well, when it's cold, prime, and a little bit of boost to get it up to it, but never jockey the throttle in a 182 RG. The throttle should be at idle to start. And it goes straight to idle, and it's good for it to start at idle because it means it isn't thrashing before it gets oil pressure. Okay, so steering one of these, just like any 182, you just steer it around with your foot pedals. And they turn in a much tighter turning circle than a fixed gear. Like, that is not abusing it, and it's turning pretty much in its own space. That's not even with brake. This plane has an MT prop on it too, just a lightweight composite MT, so it's very responsive in RPM. People who've flown turbocharged planes and haven't flown a Turbo RG will always, when you say to them, don't use full throttle, it's turbo, they go, yeah, no, I've flown a turbo. But you think, no, this is a normalized plane. If you go to full throttle, it'll be twice as much power as you need for takeoff. It'll go way above the top of the green in the manifold pressure, so it's turbo normalized. So you've literally got to watch, and you'll get to know it as you fly them more and more. You get to know where the throttle goes to be 31 inches, so you do not push it fully in. The run-up area is the same, though. Okay, cigar. Controls. Column 3. Instruments. Gas. Both. Efficient. Attitude. Electric trim. Run up. Same as normal. Richen it a bit. Running up to 1700. No 1700 on the tank. Mag check. Left. Big drop, too rich. Left. Right. Left. Low. Prop. MT, so it's very quick to cycle. Carb heat. And then I put in half the mixture I removed for idle for takeoff. And then visibly watch it go to 31 inches of manifold pressure. It will go all the way up here. But we'll look at the throttle position after takeoff. I'll show you what 31 inches is. Placerville, Skylane 54 Tango is departing runway 23, a local flight, Placerville. If there's a little bit of turbo lag, so don't just gun it right to 31, it'll go over, you just put it slowly in. There it is. 30 inches, 60 knots, up she comes. So that is the throttle position at that manifold pressure. Then, gear up. Light on, double clunk in the belly, flaps. Now the manifold pressure, which is at 30, I gently pull it back into the green, which basically makes it not turbocharged, because a non-turbo RG can do 24 inches at this altitude, and then the RPM, just get it out of the red, barely turn it, like 50 RPM. So now we are at 3,500 feet with the manifold pressure where it would be if it were non-turbo. That's the exact same gauge. There's the RPM, 24, turbo inlet temp. So the way this works, and if you want to get the real turbo normalizing video, watch the other video on the website of turbo normalizing. It's on the ground, the cowling's off, I go into much more detail. I'm flying, so I'm going to be a bit quicker. But as you climb, you lose an inch, you push in the throttle a bit. You climb, you lose another inch, you push in the throttle a bit. As usual, in anything. Then, at 6,000 feet or so, I will be at full throttle, and the manifold pressure in a non-turbo would not gain any more turbo. You just get what you get, you climb, and whatever is there, and it can go 20, down, 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 down. With this, with the turbo normalizer, you just keep pushing in the throttle. So if the engine can do 23 inches, the turbo goes 1 inch, normalizing. If the engine can do 20 inches, the turbo gives you 4 inches, turbo normalizing. So the turbo is normalizing it as if it were below 6,000 feet and it were a non-turbo. That is why the TBO is unaffected, that is why it doesn't hurt the engine. So it thinks that it's a non-turbo at all altitudes. So the airframes are 20,000 feet and the engine's at 6,000 feet. Unlike in a 206 or a 210 where you're running extra manifold pressure and subjecting it to more heat and wear, more temperature and strain, and a reduced TBO. Very good engine, these. Very good. The other thing about them, which is great, it's hot in here. This wing that is on this plane, and on all post-73, 182s, 172s, the wing is the same wing as on a Cessna 185. So it'll perform like a 185. It'll fly at 40. So a fast cross-country turbocharged retractable will fly at almost zero indicated airspeed. I mean, I can pull back on it. I won't go to great lengths to demonstrate this, but I'm going to pull it back into the flap arc, put the flaps fully down, watch the airspeed slowly disappear. Stall warner's going off. We're doing 50. We're doing 45. We're doing 40. 40. Everything is saying, whoa, no, we're going to die. And yet we still have aileron authority. So this wing is an incredible wing for slow flight. So the gear warning horn thinks I should be going faster and therefore is tooting at me. So as the speed increases, the gear warning horn will stop tooting because it then will assume I'm not landing. Flaps up. The gear warning horn operates on airspeed, manifold pressure, flap position. So if it detects those things, it'll toot at you like that. But as I gain speed, put away flaps, increase the gear warning horn will go off. But that's how loud it is. You should never forget the gear on a 182RG. It's incredibly annoying and loud. And it's a great air brake. You can put the gear down at 140 knots. So there's the gear speeds on the, well, that's flap speed. Gear speed is 140 knots. Flap speed, the first stage is 140 knots. So gear and flaps can go down at cruise If you want, the gear will slow you down, then you use the flaps, and then you get into the white arc, and now you're on normal flaps, and then you're in a regular 182 fixed gear. And these things with the wheels up, 24 inches manifold pressure, 10,500 feet, over 1,100 pounds useful load, 92 gallons of gas. These planes are incredible family cross-country high-altitude capable planes. You can land this thing at Aspen, Colorado in the middle of August with a full load and still take off at 31 inches of manifold pressure, which you would not be seeing in a non-turbo. You'd be down here somewhere at like 15 or 16 and use 3 times more runway. And in flight, it's a 182 in every way. If you're used to Cessnas, this is very, very Cessna. I mean, look at it. Let go of everything and it just centers itself. Incredibly smooth 3-blade. So we're on that, well, we're very high for downwind. I'll show you the airport. There's Placerville. We're on a very high left downwind, remaining in the pattern, kind of above it. We're doing 140 knots. So let's take her in and land. Placerville, 54 tangos on a high left downwind for runway 23 at Placerville. So it hasn't been turbocharged because I'm only at 5,000 feet. So I'm not having to cool it like a turbo would have to be cooled. Okay, gear coming down. Excellent air brake. All 3 wheels down, I got a green light. First stage of flaps because I'm well below 140. Placerville, 54 tangos on a wide, high left base for 23 at Placerville, number 1, full stop. Placerville traffic, 54 tangos on a long final, straight in now for 23 at Placerville. So we're doing 80. We're high, we're 2 miles away. We're doing 80. I got gear and flaps down. We're going down at 1,500 feet a minute. This will totally work. 90, 80, 70, 60, and you saw it flies really slowly, so even in the flare you can hold it off, hold it off, hold it off, and touch down in the sort of 40s if you had to, but 50, 65, 65 is probably the safest. Right now I'm just on final doing a straight in.
Traffic, 15 X-ray is 1 mile north of field, crossing midfield and your left downwind landing runway 23, Placerville. We have the landing traffic in sight.
54 tangos on a mile final, full stop on 23, and we got you in sight too, thanks. So with full gear and full flaps and gear down, it's very draggy. So I actually had to add a bit of power there. RGs have small wheels, big brakes. Do not have your feet on the brakes because the big brakes and the small diameter tires will skid, so be very aware of not having your foot on the brakes when you land or you'll pop a tire. And now it's just a good old fixed gear Skylane.
Placerville traffic, 15 X-ray, crossing the field, entering left downwind, landing runway 23, Placerville.
Slowly, slowly, and there she is, 45, nose wheel, idle, flaps. Brilliant. This is probably a combination of the best plane Cessna ever made because it's all the benefits of a 182, all the benefits of a 185, the wing, the stall, yet the benefits of a 210 in its retractable gear and cross country, the excellent long-lived 540 Lycoming, and a turbo normalizer, all on the same airframe. So, I mean, I like 180s and 185s, that's my thing, but the most practical family wagon for someone who doesn't fly a tailwheel is a 182 Turbo RG. So we've just flown it, we've shown you how the gear goes up and down, how the turbo system works, the speeds, various, looking closely. Normally I just do a quick round the pattern, but if I'm allowed to by the owner of the plane, who it is, to take it for a bit more of an extended flight like this one, we did what we just did. So thanks very much for watching that. And there's a subscribe down here. Try and subscribe if you like it. We're trying to get our subscriptions up. And there's a notifications button to get notifications of new videos. We try and put them out pretty regularly. There's also an Airbnb that I've got that's down at the end of the runway, which you're welcome to book. And especially if it's an aviation type of guy with an aviation type of history or lady, then we can interview you and do a podcast. There's a link down below in that. So thanks very much for watching. This is Mark at Skywagon University.